Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and in this game, you'll find the answer to how exactly do we kill a level 9 sandworm. Let's go. Alright, at the bottom here, we have Flash Master Zero playing as a Farseer specialist, and he's up against El Polaco playing as a Fortified specialist. And this game is taken from the very recent weekend tournament. Alright. To start off, it looks like a very classic standard board. Events themselves are actually being positioned a little bit too close to the tower, but nothing terribly wrong. Like personally, I prefer them to be in vertical whenever we're using fans in standard, just because it allows them to tank quite a few more shots. The red player here, also classic standard board. We have Stonecrawlers on the side, arc lights very close to the Stonecrawlers, and then of course crawlers behind them. Round 2. Wasp might be good, but at this point, I think with the standard play, Wasp is more difficult to pull off. Improved Phoenix could also be pretty good. Improved Phoenix gives you that extra 250% HP, which allows the Phoenix to actually tank AA from fortresses. Now, they are a little bit pricier, but I think over time, Improved Phoenix into a standard board is actually not too terrible. Okay, so we got wasps, double wasp here right there in the middle. So they're just gonna fight. Red player will win because of the crawler distracting some of this wasp fire. Lots of fangs coming down here. Don't exactly have any chaff clear. He does still have 250 resources, so he certainly can take it alone. Not alone, a extra recruitment right here, mass recruitment, and then take a arc light. But instead, it's going to be a single marksman. Very interesting. Not entirely sure what the idea of a single marksman at round 2 when your opponent has 4 squads or 5 squads of crawlers into your fans. I feel like having a bit more chaff clear is generally better. I think he might be scared of the Phoenixes because it was an improved Phoenix card. Alright, so it's going to be marksman and an arc light. Very weirdly positioned as well. Oh, I actually forgot he had arc lights. They were just hidden so well in front of these towers, so his chaff clear is actually not terrible. Now, the problem with fangs as your chaff is that once your fangs die, your second wave of fangs don't exactly follow, unlike the crawlers, which means the Stormcrawlers will have a very easy time to target your arc lights. Ran into a bit of a crawly problem here on the right. But it looks like the Stormcrawlers are still getting their damage in, which is good. Yep, getting rid of that Stormcrawler is very nice. Round 3, we got our first unit drop. Sandworm is being offered. Round 3 Sandworm is actually pretty good. You can also improve your overall board state with possibly Vulcan. You can switch into some sort of Vulcan Marksman or Vulcan Phoenix in standard. I mean, that's a very efficient type of build. I'm just slowly swapping out your arc lights. So it's going to be a Sandworm for our red player here. The reason I said Sandworm is pretty good at round 3 is because if you look at the board here, I mean, there's no damage, no single unit DPS whatsoever. I think our blue player is slightly better than our red player in terms of anti-unit with the combination of Farseer and Marksman. But in general, just having a Sandworm at this level of the game is very difficult to deal with. All right, Sandworm is going to be at the back as a late arriving. And Vulcan did get chosen. I think that was a great choice. All right, just continually adding more chaff here. Now, if I were blue, I probably want to start adding a few crawlers here just for these Stormcrawlers. Because right now what happens is once this initial pack of fan dies, the Stormcrawler immediately locks onto your chaff clear, which means anything that is late arriving will probably won't survive that long. So having a pack of crawler here will actually allow your chaff clear to live a little bit longer. In this round, that's actually doing a little bit better than the last round because of the mobile beaconed crawlers that actually pulled all the units over. And here comes the Sandworm, doing a ton of damage. Now, fortunately, all of these anti-HP units are locking onto the Sandworm, so as long as the Sandworm gets to stay above. Oh, look at the tower. Alright, so that's problematic. I don't think the Sandworm is going to die here. Let's see. Maybe the marksman will get a few lucky shots. Maybe on the debuff, actually. Nope. Oh, and the Vulcan is almost dead too. So it's going to be probably a Sandworm win. We'll see. He's very close because the Sandworm will attack the Stonecrawlers. And the Vulcan might... No, not a chance. Alright, the worm is being leveled. Very, very good. And intensive training is being offered, which means this worm can potentially get to level 3. So a level 3 worm at round 4 is very difficult. You need to have a melting point answer or a steel ball answer at this point. So the thing with sandworms is that in the early levels, especially if your opponent has enough units to kind of hold it down, it's not that difficult to get rid of, right? So the easiest way that you can get rid of a sandworm is just to have a column of fangs and then have 1 or 2 crawlers followed by steel balls with range. So the worm will get stuck on the fangs and then the crawler will run forward, the steel ball will lock on while the sandworm is dealing with those crawlers, and the steel ball most likely will kill it before it finishes those crawlers. And that is when your steel balls and the worms are of the same level. And of course, if your opponent's sandworm is 1 level higher, now with steel ball is it's a little bit better, so it's not exactly twice the time, but it definitely is, you know, because of the charging mechanism, but it definitely is going to take a bit longer. So ideally, you want to have the steel balls within 1 level difference, and that gives you a pretty reliable counter for the sandworm. This round is going to go to blue because red actually has 0 anti-air, which means these phoenixes are just going to chase this big worm all over the place and eventually kill it. Maybe. It's got a lot of freaking HP here. Alright, it is going to kill it. And we're going to get to round 4. Round 5, actually. Absorption module is a great card on the worm. And indeed, it goes onto the worm, and the other one goes onto the Vulcan. I'm surprised so far our blue player has not put down any sort of beam weapon. I feel like this worm with intensive training at some point is going to get really freaking big. The Phoenixes is a... I don't even think it's a solution to the sandworm. I think you have the Phoenixes maybe to deal with some sort of anti-air. I'm not entirely sure. It was a very strange pick because we already have Marksman on the board. So why run Phoenix and Marksman? Why not just put down steel balls if the sandworm is your problem? Now, just for my curiosity, maybe after this round, we'll do a quick test and see if we just put down some steel balls and I can just take care of this worm. And then we'll get back into this game. So far, I mean, for this round, we already have a marksman. They're going to pick these phoenixes off, no problem. And once the phoenixes are gone, there is no damage left on the board, which means this is going to be a win for our red player for this round. Ooh, he took replicate on this one. Okay, so with replicate, I actually don't think steel ball works that well anymore. It could still work, but it's you have to hold down the worm a little bit longer. All right, so let's give it a try, and then we'll jump right back into round 6. Oops. So let's get back to round 5. We're gonna play as blue here. Absorption, I think, is pretty good. But for now, though, maybe we'll skip the absorption, and we're just gonna get 2 steel balls. Give them range. He hasn't even unlocked crawlers, which is a problem. He's got level 2 stormcallers, which is another problem because now all of a sudden your stormcaller is actually dealing a lot of damage. I'm gonna play it a little bit risky here. I'm gonna put this down. I feel like there's a couple of units that's just not that useful. I feel like this Farseer is probably not that useful. But I don't know what I'll buy if I don't go for this Farseer. So for now, we'll keep the Farseer. We'll keep the steel balls back here, specifically to deal with the worm. And not having crawler, what a strange setup. I'll give you a level up. Let's see how you do. Okay, lots of crawlers. Alright, sandworm is coming. Alright, sandworm pops. Alright, a bunch of steel ball locks on. Ooh, not enough to kill it. Oh, that's painful. Yeah, replicate. And also not having followers. I think the reason that I wasn't able to kill the sandworm is just because the sandworm wasn't being held down. If I had crawlers at the front, I think this should be fine. Alright, let's get back into the actual game. Alright, and we're back in the actual game at round 6. So last game we saw this level 3 sandworm with replicate was just tearing everything up. Round 6, we have an option. Oil bomb is picked for both sides. I think this is a good choice. We already have Vulcans on the board, so both sides can take advantage of the oil bomb, whether you play aggressively or you try to bait your opponents into it. And it seems like both players are thinking of the same thing. More worms are being added. So now we got this level 3 worm and its little brother, now level 2, also coming into the same area. Crawlers are finally unlocked for our blue player, which is great. Just having some crawlers to distract these high-level stormcallers. Now, whenever you see like level 3 stormcallers, I think that's a sign to start buying anti-missile devices. It's just so much more value against high-level stormcallers. They do not shoot any more missiles. Their missiles themselves aren't any sturdier, which means your AM would do just fine, except you'll be preventing a lot more damage befalling your army. All right, so it looks like lots of crawlers going all over the place. The phoenixes are being redeployed with jump drive. That's interesting. Because he wants to do this flanking business. So flanking is nice. Gets the tower. And a melting point is being added to deal with the sandworm. Alright, we did get the first one. The second one, which is now going to be level 4, is still running around. And a single melting point is not that effective because of the replicate. Alright, fire gets ignited. And the melter is just unable to get a lock. I mean, right now it's getting a lock and it's able to bring that worm done, but once the worm gets a little larger and is able to kill this Vulcan a little bit faster, it's going to be some serious issues with using melters. Multi-melter is an option. I think multi-melters do well with both replicate and also in general, just to clear out medium-sized units a little bit faster. We got unit drop here. Double Sabertooth is taken for our red player. Steel Balls is a great option, I think, for our blue player. So if he wants to go Steel Balls, he still can. However, Steel Balls are slowly getting away from the blue player here. But for now, it's good. Level 3 Steel Ball is still on the same ballpark of these worms. And with range, you should be able to get to them fairly quickly. Alright, so if you're going to put steel balls down, you need to have crawlers in front. Ideally, crawlers in front and behind. So you put steel balls kind of in the midline here. So you put crawlers here, crawlers behind. The reason for that is your initial crawler will run towards the worm. And then as your steel balls are charging up, your rear guard will come in and keep the worm in place until your steel ball finishes the job. But right now, these steel balls, as you can see here, they simply get killed a little bit too quickly before they can actually deliver their damage. So not having range, I mean, right now the steel balls are simply being used as a front line. And there's nothing wrong with that because he's running melting point, so he might just want some BP units to deal with the front line, while the melting point kills everything else. But for now though, this worm has no answer. Level 4. And next round is probably going to get to level 5 with intensive. And it will get to a point where the worm will simply pop up, get locked on, not being killed, and then goes back in. He does run burrow maintenance, which means every time it goes back under, it heals itself very quickly. And for such high level, it's going to get hundreds of thousands of HP in just a few seconds. Elite Hacker is chosen. It's actually a very interesting card to go with a red player here. Hacker usually works best if you have units that slowly whittle down your opponent. It works well with beam weapons. It works well with any sort of like small arms units, like Vulcan or Mustangs. It doesn't work as well with units that deal a single lump sum damage because sometimes you just kill the unit outright, so you're not able to actually hack it. So you don't want to pair with your hackers with Scorpions, Marksmans, or Phoenixes, Fortresses, right? They simply just kill things a little too fast. But it depends. Later on, especially at the very late stages, you can use that to capture giants because you can't usually one-shot giants. But I still think Hacker, the sweetest spot for Hacker is medium-sized units. With giants, it's just taking a little bit too long. He does have Elite Hacker though, which means if he can lock onto this Vulcan, he can do a lot of work. Yeah, but no such luck. We're left with this level 6 Sandworm, which has no answer. Yeah, level 6 Sandworm. The Vulcan is trying his hardest with the absorption module, but honestly, it's not working out for him. And Replicate is paying so much dividend. You see how many larvae there are on the ground and just distracting this melting point? I think the blue player sorely needs multi-beam in order to answer this problem. Alright, lots of options here. Big Rhino here, and also the Wasp. The Big Rhino is probably for sale. The Wasp could be good because whenever you're opponent is very heavy into the ground, having some sort of air is fantastic. Right now, our red player actually only has marksman for AA, which means these walls can tie them up for quite a long time. I'm surprised he's actually keeping some of these phoenixes. There it goes. So one of the phoenixes, because the phoenixes, they aren't really useful anymore into AA marksman. For now, I think the game plan is probably just going to be melting point with multi-melter, continue to level them, and then just a non-stop stream of chaff. I don't mind having shield on the fans either, and just have more fans. And I also don't mind having AM devices. I mean, we got level 4 Stonecallers here, level 3 Stonecallers here. So if you don't use AM devices, I mean, what do you use it for? The third tech on Melter is not going to be multi-beam. It's instead going to be electromag. Interesting. I don't believe electromag is a viable technology against sandworms, because electromag disables the sandworms technology for 8 seconds if it hits, right? But then the sandworm goes under, it travels for a few seconds, and then it pops up, and then before you know it, you have to reapply EM. So I'm not entirely sure if this is a great technology. I think if all of your sandworms are going aggro and you know they're going to stay and fight for a very long time, then sure, take it. But if your sandworms are in the back and they're popping in and jumping around, then maybe not. Alright. 3 melter lock onto a single worm instantly, bringing it down. Very good. The wasp are doing a lot of good work. It's actually helping to get into the hackers a little bit, but now the hackers are here. These are elite hackers. But unfortunately, the hackers just don't have enough output to capture giants without any support. We still got 3 melters left and 3 sandworms, including the big daddy worm, which is now level 7. And this daddy worm cannot be killed this round because there's simply not enough chaff to hold the worm up. And by the time this worm gets to that big melting point, that's level 2, it will kill it because it also has the absorption module. And there it goes. Okay. Efficient Light Manufacturing, I think, is a great card. It's a bit late, but definitely something that you can use if you want to spend more money on teching. I mean, you have to get energy diffraction, right? There's just no question about it on these melters, and you do want to get the levels on these melters. And then for the rest of them, you can just dump them into fans, give them shield, and just put fans. AM device, AM device, AM device. All right. Red here is adding Mustangs, and now also with AA, I think specifically to deal with these wasps. I think that's okay. I mean, these wasps weren't really doing that much damage to begin with, but I get it. Having level 1 melting point at round 10 when your opponent has a level 7 sandworm may not be the best choice. I mean, the level 7 sandworm deals 58,000 damage, so it one-shots your level 1 melter, which is not what you want to do. Okay, so we have wasp swarm. Got a few wasps going around here. Lots of oil coming down to the ground. I think this part is going to get ignited very quickly. So once the Vulcan takes care of these melters, it's going to crawlers. It's going to turn around. There it goes. All right, all the chaff just disappears. The melting point doing their best. They're actually chaff clearing fairly efficiently as well. Where are the worms? So here's worm number 1, level 2. Where's the big worm? Oh, the big worm is on a mobile beacon, so here it is, the big worm right here. Oh, no, that's not even the big daddy. The big daddy is all the way on the other side. So this level 3 worm is getting locked on by 4 melters, and it will go down. Yep, and that goes down. And now we got this level 7 worm. We got a ton of larvae going around here. The absorption on the melter is actually keeping them alive, and great tower timing. So now we have the level 7. Oh, it's not going to stay on. And that's the problem. with when you're using beam weapon on a worm. They're not staying on. And now this worm has burrow maintenance, which means every time it goes under, it's probably going to heal most of its HP back. If I were the red player, I probably would start selling these elite hackers. I really don't know if the elite hackers are contributing that much. I mean, these worms just hit way too hard. I mean, just for example, the one earlier when it was trying to capture that melting point, it was unable to do so because the worm was just killing it way too quickly. Ooh, getting down to 490. I'm getting into round 11 as well with the final unit drop. What can you do? Probably do sledges. Or you can just get the fort and sell it. Getting the fort and sell it may make sense. I mean, for both players, really. Because medium-sized units for red just doesn't make sense with the multi-melter. So he might just sell the forts and get more worms. And for blue, it's going to be sledgehammers. I'm surprised there's not going to be shield on his fangs and also no anti-missiles. I feel like these Stonecrawlers is just getting so much value. This guy here, 436,000 damage in the game, and that's not even the highest damage output. I think the highest damage output is probably the worm. Yeah, makes sense. It is now level 8. Now for blue though, he does have some high-level melters. Level 4 melters are no joke, because they charge up extremely quickly and they are able to clear your medium-sized units very fast. Alright, shield gets taken for fangs. The steel balls are still on the ground, but look at the steel ball damage, right? 600, 500, and I feel like the steel balls could really use a bit of boost. Having range certainly helps with the steel balls. Having range also helps the steel balls from not getting captured by the hackers that early. Because one little thing, as you notice, the hackers are snatching up these steel balls, right? Here goes another one. This one just gets destroyed. Here goes another one. So, yeah. So, this is not a very efficient unit to be kept on the board. The melters are doing an excellent job. Alright, very good. We're getting in. Can we get tower? If we can get tower while that other sandworm is still up above the ground, we should be able to get this round. Okay, we're doing our best. We're trying to get to tower. Whoa, that worm just went under, and because it's got maintenance, it healed all the way back to full health, and it pops up once again and now engaging the melters. Man, that's a tough unit to kill. I thought this round was over and it's going to be blue as the winner, but with the clutch burrowing, and now we have another round for red. And is this going to be lethal? No, probably not. There's only just a single worm left. Oh, it timed out. It didn't even get a chance to kill everything. Okay. Alright, we're getting to round 12 here. We have acid. Could be useful, but the worms, I mean, they move all over the place, so it's very hard for you to figure out what exactly you want to use for. Haze module is probably the best bet if I were blue. Just put a haze module on one of these melting points. Probably this one, level 4. Just put it on that and force it to go straight to the tower. Alright, EM gets picked up by Stonecrawlers. I honestly don't think EM is the right call here for sandworms. I mean, I get it. You want to get the sandworms disabled so that they don't heal, they don't, replicate and all that stuff. Right now, I think the EM is only good if the sandworms are up and fighting and you disable their mech rage and mech div. Because once you go under, your EM just does not last long enough, and the next time they pop up, they might still, have their full tech. Red player, just complete chaff denial here. It believes that if there's no unit to hold the sandworms above ground, then the sandworm will be able to do everything and it can kill every single thing. So, okay. If I were blue, I probably might try a range on the steel balls. And I might mobile beacon the steel balls to the other side. Only because for the last 4 rounds, our red player has been mobile beacon to the other side. So having those steel balls just mobile beacon to meet the worm, I think it might be something is worth trying. All right, without even doing that, I mean, blue is winning the board pretty hard and losing to the sandworms. You will start with like 5 melters and nothing else for our red player except the worms, and then the worms would just kill everything else. Right? this worm right here is being locked on by this melter for like the last 10 seconds and it's just not dying. Level 9 worm, 840,000 HP, and then goes under, right? And then it just heals itself. Okay, so we got an EM barrage, which is good, and also absorption, which is good. But once again, don't have enough tech, and this worm is unkillable. And since it's only got 116, I think this is going to be a loss for our blue player. Goes under once again, pops up, no tech disabled. My goodness. All right, so if I were the blue player, what would I do to actually win this game? Tough call, right? Very, very hard to say. I think not having AM devices is just such a blunder, right? You don't have your chaff when a worm comes, and there's nothing holding the worm up. So I think we'll start there, and then we'll see what else we can do. Okay, we're gonna jump in here. Haste module here for a multi-melter. Don't really need steel balls at all, and this is just free money on the table, so let's get rid of that. We are going to put a lot of this. We're going to max out our device allowance this turn, which is 8 on missile defense, because it's just the most important thing. If you can keep your missile up, which means you can keep your chaff up, and if you can keep your chaff up, that means you get to do things with your multi-melter. And since we have quad-tech multi-melter, let's just go quad-tech multi-melter. Range is not that important, considering we're just getting into the sandworm here. All right, fire. We can do fire in the back, because nobody ever shields the back. And if we can get these 3 Mustangs, all the better. Mobile beacon, we got steel balls here. Let's just do steel balls all the way to that corner. And that's our turn. Alright, fire goes down. Kills a bunch of Mustangs. Good. Ooh. Alright, all the chaff disappeared. That's fine. We do have a fat Vulcan here to deal with well, pretty much everything. It's just a very strong Vulcan. Steel balls spinning around. This level 5 melting point with haste module is definitely hasting. All the melting point coming over. Steel balls coming in. Locking this big sandworm above ground. Ah, not able to hold it down long enough for the kill. Ah, that is so unfortunate. Oh, that is a tough one. All right, this level 2 is locking on. And it gets it. It gets the level 9. All right, it has tower. And the hacker is getting onto... Nope. Nope. Almost getting onto the melting point, but not quite. All right. Getting worms once again. Oh, Jesus. Come on, worm. Oh, goes under. Still unable to get this worm. I think at some point, once you get past like level 4 or level 5 on the sandworm, it just becomes almost impossible because of the quad tag. But it was a good try though. So the difference that all these AM devices made. Well, I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you want to see another video, here's one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.